So not long ago, I was lucky enough to have someone send me this Sunburst Fender Stratocaster. Even though it hasn't been properly set up yet, this is the first Strat I've played or even held that was left-handed. And up until a couple months ago, my Ibanez was the only guitar I played or owned for nearly 6 years. At first glance, what really caught my attention with this instrument was the overall cohesiveness of the hardware with the guitar finish. Everything on it is gold. The output jack, the volume and tone knobs, the bridge, which I've never seen in this color, all of the screws on the pick guard, even the tuning pegs along with the tree. They went all in on it. But what really surprised me was when I turned the guitar around to see the gold tremolo springs. Now here's where things get really interesting with this guitar. As I mentioned before, I'm left-handed, and the person that sent me this guitar was aware of that as well. If you look at the curl of the headstock and the orientation of the Fender logo, this is clearly a left-handed guitar. But when I first received it, I was shocked to realize that the strings were flipped, as well as the buttons that hold the guitar strap. Initially, this made zero sense to me because who would flip a left-handed guitar? And then after sitting on it for a couple hours, it dawned on me. The last owner of this guitar, Hendrix did. Labeled as one of the greatest guitarists in history, Jimi Hendrix was left-handed, and due to the scarcity of left-handed guitars, he was infamous for flipping right-handed guitars and restringing them to accommodate his left-handed playing. The important thing to note is that he did this out of necessity, so he wouldn't have to learn guitar right-handed, because who would want to relearn an instrument after they already established a comfortable way of playing it? Left-handed guitars are pretty rare to find today, so I could only imagine how thin their production was in the 60s. What I don't quite understand is why someone would willingly use resources and go through the time to carry out a process like this. I just find it so mind-boggling, and I doubt many people would find this upside-down guitar aesthetic appealing, especially for a right-handed guitarist that did it just for the sake of doing it. And the crazy part is, if anything, all this would do is hinder your guitar playing. With the output jack facing up, it gets in the way of where your arm would normally rest. The knobs and pickup selector become far more difficult to reach, especially if you need it to get to them during a live performance. And not only that, but by flipping the body, you lose that easy access to the higher frets. It just doesn't make sense to me. The only good thing I could see coming out of this for someone that chose to do this to their guitar would be to simply have it as a novelty. That would make sense. You flip the guitar, add the flashy gold hardware, and maybe display it up on a wall somewhere. That's what I did with the guitar that it took me almost a month to make. I could just be beating the horse to death, but I'm just so baffled as to why someone would think that this is a good idea. I could be biased though, since a righty doing this to a left-handed guitar is equivalent to a homeless person watching someone put holes in their shirt because they think it's cool, which really isn't that bad, but it just seems weird when you're the one on the other side of that pond. I know that Hendrix has some pretty hardcore followers, but I didn't think that any of them would go out of their way to copy a design that was only created for functionality because he didn't have access to an instrument that he could play properly. It just seems a little tacky to me, at least, whenever I think about it. I would much rather use a left-handed baseball glove than repurpose a right-handed one to work with my left-handed orientation. Regardless of where the last owner thought they were going with this, they sold it, which means they probably became aware of all of the inconveniences that I mentioned and decided that they were just better off selling it. I'm grateful to have it, but I just wanted to share my thoughts because I just found it so interesting. I also wrote my first riff using this guitar, so feel free to check that out if you would like. Let me know what you guys think about this design, as well as someone doing this to their guitar. That's it. I just wanted to share what was on my mind. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.